the new horror film Weapons, or the old horror film Weapons, depending on when you watch this. The new horror film Weapons I just saw, and I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm not going to tell you all about it. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Basic story is this. I went into this pretty blind. I watched the first trailer that came out, which tells you the very basic premise, which is this. A classroom full, or I should say all of the kids in a grade school classroom, all of the members of a specific grade school homeroom disappear one night. 2:17 a.m. They all get out of bed, run off into the night, and are never heard from again. Tears the town apart. The parents of those children, obviously, rather upset. The school teacher whose class it was, all right, let me correct that. All but one child in the class disappears. School teacher is blamed. People accuse her of having something to do with it. What did you tell those kids? What was going on in that classroom? School teacher portrayed by Julia Garner. And she's just like, I have no idea what this is. I'm as upset as you are, but nobody wants to hear that. They figure the adult who was in the room with all those kids all the time that happened to all disappear coincidentally from her classroom, she must know something. So the town is torn apart. She's being put on leave. She's dealt with alcoholism for off and on in her life and is certainly dealing with it again now. And the film basically goes forward with this story from there. That as a child narrator says at the beginning, you know, all the kids disappearing and this town meeting being held, this is where the story starts. The film is told in a nonlinear fashion. So we meet most of the characters. We see the school teacher's story first, and it has her name come up. And we see, you know, her dealing with the disappearance up to a certain point where something happens. And then we kind of rewind it, and we follow another person's story. We follow the story of Josh Brolin's character. Josh Brolin's a working man whose son has disappeared. He is not hearing any satisfactory answers as to why the son disappeared, and he's doing his own investigation. He's rewatching the Ring camera footage that he has over and over again, trying to figure out what happened and work through his grief. And he's also having very weird nightmares. You have a cop in town. You have various characters that you see. You get to see their whole story. It's very Pulp Fiction in that sense, in that all of these stories interact. You see, to a degree, the same span of time get replayed, but from different points of view. Over time, all these stories interconnect, and eventually they all come together as one for the finale of the film. So I went in not knowing anything, not expecting a lot. Modern horror doesn't always thrill me that much, and I was really with it. And it takes its time to a degree where I started. Everybody keeps saying about this, it's not what you think it's going to be, or it's not what I thought it would be, but I liked it. While I'm watching it, it is so methodical, or leisurely paced, as I like to say. I wouldn't call it slow, some might, but I'm just leisurely paced. It's going along, and it's really getting into the grief of these people and how these people are coping with this tragedy. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this film going to pull the rug out from expectations and not even really be about the disappearance of the kids, but really focus on how this incident and how this trauma messes with a town and messes with the individuals, and people turn on each other, almost like a Monsters Are Due on Maple Street kind of thing? Is it going to do that? And if it does, the way this is going and the writing and the performances, I'm pretty okay with that. And the non-linear structure, oftentimes I find it is a crutch and is a little annoying post, Pulp Fiction, but here it worked, and it was very interesting because you got more pieces of the puzzle each time, and you get to delve into each of these characters, some of which you didn't think you'd see much of, and they become fully fleshed out characters over time. There's a lot of humor in this movie that I did not expect. And at first I'm like, am I weird that I'm finding this funny? Or is, that other person in the theater laughing at this? Are they laughing inappropriately? But no, there is intentional humor in here. And to the degree where I'm not going to say much about much as far as the rest of the plot goes, but by the end of the film, I was like screaming laughing at certain things because it was just so intense and insane and ridiculous and wonderful where this whole film built to. What I will say about my overall experience of the film is that I was really with it. And then when the film explains what the deal is and introduces a character that is the deal in this movie, it really lost me. It's a type of explanation for horror that I'm just not a fan of, and I can't get into very well. And I was just like, oh, this is what it's going to be. Okay. and it kept going. And there's some very gory moments if you're into that sort of thing. A lot of really good suspense, not a lot of jump scares, which I greatly appreciated. There were multiple sequences where I thought, okay, yeah, somebody's peering into the darkness and they see a figure, and then brr, it's going to pop up, and yeah, isn't that exciting? It didn't really do that. Did it a couple times, and when it did, it was extremely offensive, extremely effective, but it never felt cheap like most horror jump scares do. It was just really well shot, really well constructed. There were moments of just like your blood would run cold, which was great. But it, as I say, it did lose me when Amy Madigan is in this film. And it was not apparent that that's who it was at first to me. And eventually I realized, oh, the voice sounds familiar, and then the face looks a little familiar. Her character was so out of step with the rest of the movie, which is intentional, but the look of her character and how she behaved just seemed silly to me and kind of yanked me out of the movie. And she appears like sort of here and there, and then the character finally is introduced. And so I was just like, okay, I guess I'm going to ride out the rest of this film. But then it won me back. When it got to the end and things got more and more intense and ridiculous and bizarre, it won me back a lot. And when it just became flat out a horror comedy, it won me back. So I'm not going to tell you anything beyond that. It's a film that deals with the impacts of trauma and addiction and all kinds of real world horrors in the context of this bizarre horror film. So what I say about this, I mean, it's really true of any movie, but if you can go in as blind as possible, if you can go in knowing as little as possible, if you can go in not even listening to me too late, and not know the twists and the tonal shifts, it's a really interesting experience. So I would recommend, if you can, in a theater with other people and good sound and no distractions, Weapons.